Good morning, Rage Monster.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the next edition of Conversational Chaos, the intelligent ramblings between Jason and the Rage Monster. This is going to be one of my favorite episodes ever, Jason. I can just feel it.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. This is movie day, ladies and
Movie
gentlemen.
time.
We finally get to go over our feedback on our top 5 movies of all time. We had quite an interesting response. How many entries did we have total? How many movies was it? 200 and
Something.
some odd movies, 260 movies or so. So we wound up with quite a long list, a laundry list of films, some of which I was very surprised to see on this list, and some of which I was not surprised to see on this list. Did you actually get to go through it at all?
I went through the top votes. I was quite surprised. It's not what I anticipated to see.
Really?
Yeah, not at all.
I wonder if that's the particular demographic in which we sort of target.
Top 10, I probably wouldn't even... I'm surprised they're on there.
The top 10?
The top 10. They're not in my top list.
Really? That's actually true. I mean, looking at your list.
My first entry is way down at number 40.
Is it really?
Yeah. I don't think I have one above that.
Well, the way that we did it, interestingly enough, is we didn't actually rank them number 1, number 2, number 3. The way that we did it was we basically took everybody's list, everybody's top 5 list. We put it into a spreadsheet and basically just tallied the number of votes for that movie. So that's how we kind of ranked. There's one movie that has the most votes.
Right.
But there's 2 movies that have the second most, and there are, I think, 5 with the third, so on and so on. So there's a lot of ties for positioning. So we're not going to go into this is number 1, this is number 2, so on and so on, because it's hard to do that. But how do you want to start? Do you want to start at the top? Do you want to start kind of like with the honorable mentions?
Should we start with... Do you want to start with the list or do you want to start with, like, yours?
I don't
Your
even remember
top
what
5.
mine is.
Oh, dear.
In all honesty, I don't remember what mine is. Because I did it so long ago. Because you were complaining the fact that I didn't respond to the top 5 cities. So I put some thought into it. And I decided...
Apparently not a lot if you forgot what it was already.
No, I mean, I can tell you what. I know that it was...
Wait, are you going into your list or are we going through the movie list first?
I'm going through my list. This
You're
is
gonna go through
my
your
list.
All right.
I know I had Usual Suspects, I had Pulp Fiction, I had Full Metal Jacket, Shawshank Redemption, one of the greatest movies ever made, and 2001: A Space Odyssey. Those are my top 5 right there.
Really?
Yeah. Because I wanted to pick a sci-fi movie because I could have gone straight up war movies and just picked 5 that I really liked.
Why would you pick war movies?
I'm just saying, I could have picked any genre and said these are really good movies of that genre.
I guess that's one of my questions is how did you pick? Because you said no rules,
There were no rules.
which that just kind of, it broke it for me.
I know. I can tell by looking at your list.
Yeah, because I have like A versus B and C versus D. So I should have come up with 2 because I had 2 competing ideas on the rules. I thought there should be... Well, go ahead and go into your movie list first. Let's hear that. How did you pick your 5?
The way that I kind of went about the thought process was I kind of had in my mind a list of movies that I thought were really great movies.
Really great.
Something about the movie, either the cinematography is really good, the action sequences are really good, the dialogue is really good. There's something that makes a movie great to me.
Right.
And then I kind of thought to myself, okay, well, if I were flipping through the channels and I came across this movie on TV, would I stop to watch it?
That was the problem I had. Like if I watched it the first time and thought it was just fantastic, but then I never go back to watch it, compared to another movie where it wasn't so great, but I watch it all the time. That's 2 different lists.
Can I mention one of the movies on your list?
No.
Why not? How come I can't mention your movies?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, fine. So that was kind of the criteria and the way that I sort of thought about.
I feel bad for whoever's editing this episode because we're all over the place so far.
I know who's going to edit this episode. It's somebody in this room. We should get the intern to do it.
That would be fun. We tried though.
She's slacking.
We also didn't get any more facts today.
No, and that's the first thing I asked this morning when I came in. I was like, hey, do you have our any documents for
from
today?
The last 2 episodes.
And you know what she said? She looked at me and says, no, I'm too tired.
That's a true intern though.
Absolutely. Party hard, get no sleep, come to work early in the morning. So
sleep at work.
So that's how I picked my list, really. That's kind of...
Wait, which one did you pick? Did you pick the ones that you thought were great or the ones where you would stop it and watch it if it was on TV?
They kind of had to fit both of those
They had
categories.
to fit both?
Yeah.
All right. So what was the first one you picked?
Mine were in no order.
The first one we're going to talk about. Just pick one.
Oh, I'm going to pick the Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
What's so great about that one?
Okay. I want to put it out that there may be some spoilers.
Well, this whole show is spoilers.
Yes, okay. There's going to be some
movies from like 10 years ago. So if you haven't watched
10?
it by now.
Shoot, I don't even know how long.
I don't think any of these movies we're talking about came out.
It's at least 25 years. Shawshank Redemption's at least 25.
So if you haven't seen it by now,
you need to.
Pause it.
Yes, pause, skip ahead, do whatever. There's going to be spoilers. Spoilers abound in this particular edition of the podcast. So,
tell me about Shawshank Redemption, because it was on the time on the TV all the time when I was a kid, and it was all right.
Well, the really funny part about that movie is that it did horribly at the box office.
I can see that.
It did not do very well.
Yeah. And what are you going to sell on that one?
What?
It's hard to sell that one.
It is kind of hard to sell that movie. It's a prison drama, effectively. Yeah. So you have the main character, Andy Dufresne.
Yeah, prison isn't really a nice place to think of.
Prison life for him was particularly bad.
Yeah.
So Andy, who was a banker, found out his wife was having an affair, and he went to confront his wife and got really drunk and decided not to confront his wife. But that night, somebody comes to his cabin where they lived and kills his wife and her lover. And of course, as a result of this, they immediately point the finger at Andy. And of course, he was there that night. He had been drinking. He did have a gun. So they link all this stuff together. They convict him of murder. They send him to prison. And he goes to prison. And prison life turns out to be really, really bad for him.
Okay.
Basically, the first couple of years that Andy was in prison were really tough on him. But then the warden kind of finds out that Andy's really smart and he's really good with numbers. And the warden is participating in a bunch of these like kickback schemes. So he had to figure out ways to hide the money. So he kind of takes Andy under his umbrella and says, nothing's going to happen to you in prison as long as you do these things for me. So Andy, who was straight as an arrow outside of prison, according to Andy, did not commit the crime, goes to prison to learn how to become a criminal, how to like hide money and launder money and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. But
the real kicker is to what makes the movie so great. It is one of the best twist reveals ever. So when Andy first goes to jail, he gets put into a cell by himself. And Red, character played by Morgan Freeman, is the man who can get you stuff in prison. So you need cigarettes, you need liquor, you need whatever you need. You can go to Red to get it. Well, he asks Red for a rock hammer because he likes shaping and polishing rocks. So a rock hammer's little. It's not very big. It looks like a little miniature pickaxe. And so he gets one, and you don't think anything of it. Well, he hides it in his Bible, which is interesting how he does it. And throughout the movie, he keeps putting different posters on his cell wall. And you don't think anything of it. But you find out at the end, Andy actually escapes prison. He escapes through a hole in his cell wall that he had dug through with this little teeny rock hammer that he had. But he was covering the hole with these posters that he would put into his cell. When the warden finds out that Andy escaped, the warden knows that Andy has enough information to send the warden and several other people to jail. So it totally freaks the warden out. But that is like the coolest reveal ever. The warden is in the cell with one of the guards and Morgan Freeman, and he's throwing rocks that Andy had on his windowsill, like polished. He's throwing them around, and he throws one at the poster on his wall, and it goes through the poster, through the hole, and down into the bowels of the prison, basically. And that's how they figure out that Andy has actually escaped, and that's how he did it. But what Andy had done is that since he had been laundering all this money for the warden, he had been putting it into accounts under an assumed name in banks.
Yeah.
Well, he walked into those banks and basically withdrew all the money. So he took all the warden's money and escaped. But you also find out during the course of the movie that Andy didn't actually commit the crime, that somebody else actually did it, had confessed to it. So you know that Andy's innocent. And he spent 20 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, but he gets like the quote-unquote severance pay by taking all the warden's money. And it was like $250,000. And this takes place in 1950? Okay. 1950 something.
Yeah. Early.
So it was a heck of a lot of money at the time. And he escapes and goes down to Mexico And eventually, he and Red had gotten this like really good relationship in prison. And when Red finally gets out of jail after like 40 years that he was in prison for his crime, Red breaks his parole and escapes to Mexico and meets up with Andy. That's how kind of the movie ends. But it's such a good movie. It's a movie about comeuppance, I guess, because the warden, who's supposed to be like the pillar of good behavior, is actually the worst. And several of the prisoners who are supposed to be the dregs of society turn out to be much better people.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
I'll have to try and watch it again. I was surprised because when you told me that before, I looked it up and it's on a lot of top 10 lists. So it is.
And on our list, it actually shows up. It's tied for second.
Yeah. Surprising.
I'm surprised. The movie that it's tied with, I'm really shocked that it's tied with that one. Can I talk about that? So it's tied with Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. So
that's a popular one.
It is a really popular one, but I wouldn't call it. It's a really good movie, and I think it carries such a nostalgic value for so many people because of people our age. It came out around the time we were born, so it was a really big deal.
It's very nostalgic.
Yes.
It's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah, the movie itself is good, but a lot of people don't even like that one the best. A lot of people like The Empire Strikes Back the best. Right. So how this wound up, I don't even think The Empire Strikes Back is on the list.
I don't think so.
Did it even make it? I don't think so.
That points to the quality of our list.
No, it did. I know it did. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, gets one vote. One person put that on their list of top 5, and that's the movie that most people say is the best of the original Star Wars movies. A lot of people don't like the fighting teddy bears. That one kind of, Empire Strikes Back sort of went off the rails. So a lot of people, I don't think, liked that one so much. What?
Fighting teddy bears in Empire Strikes Back?
I'm not talking about Empire Strikes Back. I mean, Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Ewoks.
Fighting teddy bears.
What?
That's just
They weren't meant to be teddy bears. They were supposed to be Wookiees. And there was something to do with the merchandising. They thought it would be a heck of a lot easier to sell little like teddy bear characters than it would be to sell a bunch of Wookiees. So,
But anyways, so number 2 is Star Wars.
Number 2 was Star Wars: A New Hope, tied with Shawshank Redemption, which is the greatest movie ever. I'm surprised that that's not higher on the list. I'm surprised that what's number 1, which we'll get to, is not below that.
I'm surprised too.
So, and then we got tied for 3rd. Yeah, Forrest Gump. It was great when I saw it originally in 1994.
It had a lot of hype behind it. I think maybe that's what carried it on our list. I don't know, because I watched it recently. I didn't love it when it first came out. It was okay. But I watched it recently, and the ending's not really jolly. It's
horribly depressing.
Yeah.
I'll freely admit that I cried at the end of that movie.
No, it didn't touch me that much.
When you find out, they don't come right out and say it, but, Jenny has AIDS. From her extremely risky lifestyle. And then she and Forrest finally get married, and then after how many years? He's basically been in love with her since he was a child, and then she runs away. Like every opportunity, she stiff arms him, and keeps coming back and like teasing him, sort of. Then they finally get married, and then she dies. That is horribly depressing. That's why I cried. I didn't cry because she died. It was like, you know what?
All that work.
She deserved it. She deserved it after all that stuff. But she was a good person, but she was obviously struggling internally with whatever was going on inside her head, So I took it for what it was at the time, and I thought it was a good movie at the time. And I agree with you, though. It has not stood the test of time as well as I would have expected it to. But
there were parts of it that were really good, but just I don't know, maybe if they ended it differently. Do you like your movies to end on a happy note, or do you not care?
They don't need to end on a happy note. What I don't want is I don't want my movies to end with something really, really depressing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because like some movies have a completely ambiguous ending. Like you don't know exactly what's going on. You just know that the ending of a movie I didn't put on my list, but it's a movie that I really enjoy, and it didn't show up on this list anywhere, is Grosse Pointe Blank.
Oh.
And it's a great movie. Wouldn't never put it on the top 5 list, but it's a really good movie. But that ends in a very ambiguous way. There's no resolution, really. You just know that they get together at the end, and they kind of drive off into the sunset, but there's no... it's not happy. It's not a happy ending. It's just a ending.
Just an ending.
But there are some movies... i.e. Requiem for a Dream, which I'm not going to talk about at all because it's horrible.
Yeah,
the movie
we're
itself...
not talking about horrible ones.
No, that's
just
what I'm saying.
Move along.
Yeah, but the movie is good, but it's horribly depressing. So at the end, it's just you're so downtrodden that you don't want to watch it again.
Yeah, there's a whole genre of movies like that. I didn't know that they just make movies just to make you feel bad.
And it does. That movie makes you feel horrible.
Yeah, I got tricked into watching one of those once. It's like, this is going to get better. It's got to, right?
What did you watch?
I don't even remember, but it had big name stars in it. And it's like, well, famous people in here, it's going to get better, right? And it gets all the way to the end, and then it just hits you in the stomach one more time, and then that's the end. I'm like, what is this?
That's just kind of the nature, I guess.
Yeah, it ruined my day.
So, moving down the list.
Okay, go on.
Okay, we've got Forrest Gump, Goonies, Saving Private Ryan, Silence of the Lambs, totally awesome.
I tried watching that one.
I
got about 10 minutes in. That was enough for me.
10 minutes in, that's right about when...
she first meets him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was enough. I don't even want to talk about that.
Okay, we won't talk about it. I know we've talked about this movie twice, and both times it's been cut out, so we're not talking about it again.
It's very discomforting.
And then The Godfather. So those ones are all tied for the third position. The Godfather I actually expected to be a little bit higher than third position. The Godfather is a good movie, but that's one that I'd say is a really good movie. If I'm flipping through the channels, I have to be in the right mindset to want to watch that movie. You can't just watch it all of the time.
Yeah.
Some movies I can just watch over and over and over again if I really wanted to.
When I watched it recently for the first time, and I enjoyed it because it had a lot of Italian lifestyle in it. And my family's Italian, so it made me think of stuff we did when we were a kid and the Italians we lived around, which was neat to see. But other than that, he's in the hospital for half the movie, The Godfather, right? Because he gets shot.
He's not in the hospital for half the movie.
He's in there for a while.
He is in there for a while. But that's the transition period. That's where one of the really interesting parts of that movie is the movie starts with the wedding, right?
Yeah.
And you see Michael Corleone, who is the youngest son of Don Corleone.
Right.
And he has just come back from World War II. He's in his uniform, and he's sitting at his wedding with his girlfriend at the time, Kate.
Yeah.
And he tells her this crazy story because Johnny Fontaine, this olive oil-voiced singer, is performing, he's famous, is performing at this wedding, and he's explaining to her how his father, Don Corleone, helped him with his career. And she's like, well, how did he do that? And he explains this scene where Luca Brasi goes up to this big band director that had Johnny Fontaine's contract, and he says, sign this paper releasing Johnny of his contract, and either your signature or your brains are going to be on it at the end of this. But the way that he's telling that story, there's no emotion attached to it.
Right.
He's got no emotional attachment to it. She just is like, oh my, and he says, yeah, that's a true story. With no emotion. So you can see that even though at this point Michael is being kept out of the quote-unquote family business,
right? But
he obviously has the penchant for it. He has no emotional attachment. And so, but then you see throughout the movie how Sonny, his older brother, the oldest boy, is being groomed to be the replacement for Don Corleone eventually.
Right.
And then Sonny ends up getting killed.
Yeah.
So when Sonny ends up getting killed, obviously couldn't give it to Fredo. Fredo was totally worthless. Fredo was the middle brother.
Right.
He's the one who gets sent out to Vegas because he was the one who was there when Don Corleone gets shot in the street. So, but through this whole movie, you see the transition of Michael from this protected youngest son, where he's supposed to not be involved, to being the Godfather. At the very end, spoiler, he becomes the Don.
It's kind of not a spoiler if you say it afterwards.
Well, we told them spoilers abound. So at the end, Don Corleone is dead, and Michael becomes the new Don.
Right.
And that's kind of how the first movie ends. But it's a really great transition piece from Michael in the very beginning at this wedding, where he's sort of a rube, to being the head of this family.
Yeah. But that's one of the other problems I have with movies, is they bring in these characters and they develop really well, and then they kill them off at somewhere in the middle. Then you've just invested all this time, a good 20 minutes, learning about this person, and then they're just gone.
I loved Luca Brasi.
Yeah, he was good too, and he just went so bad then. He was just looking for some extra money.
Feels so bad what they did to Luca Brasi. So,
all right, go on.
All right, we'll skip down. So we're on. Okay, this would be the fourth position. There's a tie between American Beauty, Back to the Future, Batman: The Dark Knight. Oh, geez, we got a long list here. Braveheart, Goodfellas, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, Platoon, Step Brothers. What is that even doing on the list? Let alone with the same amount of votes as some of these other movies. What the heck? Who put that on there?
I haven't seen that one. It's supposed to be really funny.
I've seen it. It's funny.
Yeah.
But I would never put it in my top 5 movies of all time.
People laugh.
The Departed, which is great. The Fast and the Furious. Okay. I'm going to stop here for a second. The Fast and the Furious.
I didn't realize it was so high up on the list.
Yes, it's tied for 4th position with movies like The Departed, The Matrix, Top Gun, Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Okay? These are good movies. What is The Fast and the Furious doing tied with those movies?
That's in one of my top 5.
I know.
Is that the one you wanted to talk about?
Yes. What is that movie doing there?
You can't think of it as just the first movie. It's the whole series. Because it's all one big story. So when I watched the first one...
Come on. Tokyo Drift, how is that part of the story?
It is part of the story. Have you not seen all 15 of them?
I think there's 8. Is there 8? 8 or 9?
I think there's 8. And now they're having a spin-off this summer.
Is that a pun? Spin-off?
Yes. I worked hard on that one. So like the first one I watched, I just thought it was a garbage movie. And then the second one was just...
More garbage?
Didn't even have Vin Diesel in it. Neither does the third one. He shows up at the end of the third one, which was a nice cameo. But by the fourth one, it starts picking up speed.
I'm shaking my head for those who have no idea what I'm doing.
But there's parts of it that are nice, that how much he values his family. Even though his family isn't really his family, it's just his close friends, and how loyal he is to them. And then it's just kind of a fun movie to watch.
I'm not saying it's not a fun movie to watch.
So that's part of my list. Like if it's on, I'm going to watch it. I could just sit down and watch it anytime.
I mean,
so I've gone back. Like now I'll watch the first one, and the first one's better because now you know where all the characters are going. Although I really don't like how much they've started killing them off towards the last couple episodes.
Well, now they've got The Rock in there.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I love him. Yeah.
I know we are not talking about teeth. I want to make this very clear, but I don't think I've seen a movie of his that I didn't like.
I mean, it's weird.
But he did that Tooth Fairy movie that I didn't even see.
Was a good one
so
too.
I can't say that was good or not. But every movie that I've seen that he's been in, I've actually liked. Even crappy ones like Baywatch.
He's in like 4 of my movies, but I have like 8 movies.
He's not in The Sound of Music.
I didn't count that one.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
He can sing, though.
In The Sound of Music.
Have you heard him sing?
Yeah.
He's actually not a bad singer. But yeah, it's a fun movie.
It just bothers me. As I was tallying, it kept coming up. I'm like, why does this movie keep coming up? And a lot of people said the Fast and the Furious series. Like they couldn't just pick out a movie. You can't just
pick one.
No,
you got to throw the whole thing together.
So I banged them all down to just the Fast and the Furious. So that's why that one's probably so high, because there are
a lot of votes
for that series in general. And so I would put that up there. So Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right. I did not add the votes for
those. You got to keep separate.
Yeah, I did not add the ones for The Last Crusade, which is also on this list, but I think that only got 2 votes. Maybe it only got 1 vote. Either way, it's way further down the list, but I did not add those 2 together because they are effectively completely independent. And it's the fact that they're separated by
years.
Temple of Doom, which is one of those movies where you think to yourself, why? Why did they do that? I mean, it fits with the series, kind of, but it's almost like it's a sub. Almost could have been like a branch. But as far as that goes, Raiders of the Lost Ark is awesome, but Last Crusade, I think, is the best.
I think
of the
too.
3. So why that one didn't show up?
And the Crystal Skull doesn't even exist.
No. If I were a billionaire, multi-billionaire, and I could buy every single copy of that movie and set it on fire, I would. Because that movie is horrible. Absolutely horrible. No more Fast and Furious talk, man. I'm just shocked that that's even on the list.
It's a good one. If you haven't seen all 8 of them.
It's tied with movies like Top Gun and Usual Suspects. Usual Suspects is absolutely awesome. That is an awesome, awesome movie.
Yeah, but you can't sit and watch that over and over again.
Yeah, you kind of can.
I don't know.
I don't think I could watch it over and over and over again.
It's a heavy one. You kind of got to think a little bit.
It is, but once you... Again, spoilers here. Spoilers. Once you find out that Verbal Kint is Kaiser Sose,
yeah,
at the very end, It's talk about an awesome reveal. I guess I kind of like those movies because Usual Suspects and Shawshank Redemption, which have these awesome reveals.
Right. So it was
are
really
two of my
good the
tops.
first time because it leads you down this path and then it surprises you at
Yeah.
the end. But to go back and rewatch it 100 times, you lose that factor of it. So you
Yeah.
know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of keyed into all the things and then you kind of see the path that they're leading you down. So that's kind of hard. We didn't have any rules. So if you said this was great the first time I saw it, then that's different than I'll sit down and watch it all the time. That's the dilemma we're in with no rules.
Yeah,
It's
again,
anarchy,
no rules. Yes, this is total
chaos.
bedlam. The Departed tied with Fast and the Furious too.
I don't know if I think I've seen it, but I couldn't tell you what it was about.
That's actually a
It's
really
like
good
a
movie.
detective movie, isn't it?
It is kind of a detective movie.
Who's it have in it? Marky Mark?
Marky Mark is in there. There's Mark Wahlberg.
It's hard for me to trust him. I don't know why. Just anytime he's in a movie, I can't tell if he's the good guy or the bad guy. But he's usually the good guy.
And actually, in this movie, that's exactly the way that it comes across. You don't know.
Maybe that's why this one should be a good one.
Yeah, so in the party, you just don't know whether he's good or bad. Tied for 5th position, we have Dirty Dancing. Blech. Dirty Dancing,
It was
E.T.
Popular one.
It is. E.T., Fight Club, Full Metal Jacket, another one on my list. I'm shocked that wasn't higher. Great movie. Gladiator, which that didn't come in till yesterday. We had several people.
Yeah, I'm surprised that one's so good because I see that as like a Fast and Furious kind of movie.
No.
Isn't he fighting lions and stuff in there? Tigers?
No, not really. I mean, he's a
No?
gladiator. He's killing other gladiators.
Yeah.
But yes, you see scenes of like slaves being attacked by lions and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that didn't come in until yesterday.
Did you know that was supposed to be like a series of movies?
I did not. But it's kind of hard to make a series of movies when they kill. I mean, again, spoiler: Gladiator dies. At the
He's
end
a
of that movie.
time traveler.
Oh, get out of town!
Not kidding.
You're not kidding?
No, I think I saw that a couple weeks ago where they had a series where he's a time traveler and he travels around in time.
You know what? We're not even going down that road. That's so stupid. So, Gladiator, Gone with the Wind, which is
That's a classic one.
I've seen that movie once.
Yeah.
Once is enough. It's like 3 hours of pain. If you like racism and if you like horrible relationship between two main characters, watch Gone with the Wind. And you have Good Will Hunting, which is actually a really good movie. That's a movie that I would stop and watch. It's just fun. I like it.
Yeah.
And
Has
then
Robin Williams in it. He's entertaining.
we had some Christmas movies show up in here in this list. We had one of them was It's a Wonderful Life.
Wow,
So
a
that's
classic.
tied with the 5th position here. So
a lot of people
It's a
like
Wonderful
that
Life.
to watch that every year.
They
So
do. And
I can see
that's,
that.
we had gotten questions from some people had asked, what are the criteria? And the answer was, there are no criteria. And then the other question was, can we put in Christmas movies? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. If that's
Yeah,
what
there's
you
no
want to
limit.
put, there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. So It's a Wonderful Life. Jaws, which is, I don't know really how that got on the list. It's got some really
It's
cool
a
scenes to
popular
it.
movie. Yeah. It was impactful when it came out.
Well, it's impactful in just modern pop culture because that was the movie that created the summer blockbuster. That is the movie that caused us to have this horrible season in the summer with these just crappy action movies. Now it's like all the like big action movies. A lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them come out in the summer blockbusters, and that's why. Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I just put those together because several people voted for
If you like
for one
blood
or the other.
squirting, that's for you.
Memento, which is
I've heard a lot about that one. I haven't seen it though. It's hard to track that one down.
For me, it's hard for me to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another one of those movies where there's an ambiguous end,
Oh. Yeah.
and so it's not feel good.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of horrible stuff that happens in it. So
It's one of those where they lead you down a path and give you. It's a thinker.
It definitely is. Yeah, you need to have half a brain to really pay attention to that movie. Princess Bride, which is a great movie. Rocky IV,
Princess Bride was good.
the best Rocky movie ever.
It's entertaining. I would put that in with Fast and Furious too.
If I could look like anyone, if I could like wish myself to look like anybody, I would look exactly like Ivan Drago from Rocky IV.
That was going to be my question today.
What?
If you had to pick a actor to play you in a movie, my first choice for you would be Ivan Drago. That's the first thing that comes to me. Well, not him, but the guy who plays him. I don't know his real name.
It's Dolph Lundgren.
That's him, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Dolph Lundgren from the 1980s, not the Dolph Lundgren from now, because he's much older than me.
He's seen a rough life. He's been beaten up a whole lot.
He was jacked up in that movie, man.
Yeah.
But if I could look like anyone, I wouldn't want to look like The Rock. I wouldn't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would want to look like Ivan Drago. Absolutely, 100%. No doubts in my mind.
Well, that's who I would pick for you.
Well, thank you
very much. If we were in a movie, that's who would play you.
Yes, the Conversational Chaos, the movie.
It's coming out soon. That's our next project. So you got to tell me, who do you think would play my part?
Billy Crystal.
Really? I guess I'll take that. I was afraid you were going to say Sylvester Stallone. Just
really? No.
Because you're just like beating up on me. But anyways.
No. Honestly, I don't know. I never thought about that.
Well, you have till the end of the show.
You're taller than Billy Crystal. He's really short.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a pretty short guy.
He's a nice guy. I wouldn't.
No,
I would be okay with that.
City Slickers didn't even show up on this list, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see the lack of comedies.
Yeah. A lot of people don't want to say that's their favorite.
Yeah. And except for Step Brothers. What the heck, man? Way up there.
Everyone just chose that one. I'll have to watch it. Maybe that's just the ultimate. I do like Will Ferrell.
You had to have watched Talladega Nights.
I did, but that one didn't do it for me.
For somebody who actually likes stock car racing and you didn't like Talladega Nights?
Yeah, it was a little too much. He has a balance. He's got to hit that right balance. Sometimes he goes a little bit over the top.
The movie itself does kind of go off the rails. That whole
the
French guy and all that stuff is kind of weird. But
all right, going on.
Anyway, going on. Okay, so Princess Bride, good movie. Rocky IV, 7.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's a horrible movie to watch.
Don't
Again,
watch
a movie that does not have a happy ending. Sound of Music, that got some votes. The Big Lebowski, I'm actually shocked that one's not a little higher too, because a lot of millennials seem to gravitate towards that movie. They formed a church.
That's weird.
Around the Church of the Dude,
I'm a John
I think is
Goodman
what it's
fan,
called.
But that
you are entering a world of pain.
Did you see him in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah, he played the Cyclops. Yeah,
that poor frog.
Yeah, but The Big Lebowski is actually, I think it's a pretty good movie. I'm surprised it's not higher on this list. Toy Story, and then to round it up is 42. I've never even heard of that movie.
Oh, is that like the Spartan movie?
No, 300 is the Spartan movie.
Oh.
That's on this list.
So it's not a more intense Spartan movie? It's just down to the last 42.
I've never even heard of it. I'm going to have to look it up because I've never heard of that movie.
Yeah.
And then I was really depressed because 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I didn't see that on
a total lack, not a total lack, but almost a total lack of science fiction.
Yeah.
You have The Matrix, which I would be considered
was that
sci-fi.
on there?
Yeah, The Matrix is on there. It's tied for 4th.
Oh, okay.
It's right here. No, sorry. Yeah, it's tied for 4. 2001: A Space Odyssey, Knight's Tale, American History X, which I think is actually a really good movie, and Edward Norton plays a great part in that movie. I'm disappointed that one's not a little higher on the list as well.
42 is the movie about Jackie Robinson being a baseball player.
Oh, we have several baseball movies on this list. There was, these are all ones at the end of the list. They're all kind of tied for last.
Yeah.
There was Major League, For the Love of the Game, apparently 42. I think there was another one on here.
Bull Durham.
Yeah, Bull Durham. So there's at least 4.
Going into the field.
Oh, Field of Dreams. That's 5.
Yeah.
5 baseball movies on this list.
My dad likes that one. He watched it a lot.
So, ton of these movies now from here on out are all tied for basically last place. So, 2001, A Knight's Tale, which terrible.
It wasn't bad. I liked that one. That was enjoyable.
It's one with Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
It's a horrible movie.
It's funny.
American History X, which is great.
I would recommend watching it.
Officer and a Gentleman, which is, a good girl chick flick, if you like that kind of thing. Kind of depressing. Anchorman.
It's another Will Ferrell.
As being a podcaster, which is what we would be considered, I guess, they've started the Ron Burgundy podcast.
Oh, yeah?
It is the worst. Talk about a one-trick pony.
Oh.
That they just keep beating it to death. They keep putting out episodes of it, and they just advertise it everywhere.
Yeah?
And it is so flippin' bad.
Well, somebody must like it.
They keep pumping money into it. Whether people like it or not, I don't know. All the feedback that I've seen from it on Reddit and stuff, people are like, I just wish it would go away. This is on the podcast subreddit. People talk about how bad it is. Apollo 13, Avengers, Infinity War. I don't like superhero movies, so no. Billy Madison. How does that show up in somebody's list?
People love that one. I've known people who love it. It's got that penguin in it.
I can understand Happy Gilmore, but Billy Madison.
That's where he goes back to school, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
so bad.
It's a cult movie.
It's actually this is a really funny scene at the end where he's doing like the knowledge showdown with the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he gives a completely horrible response
Yeah.
to one of the questions. And the principal was like, I award you no points and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah.
Even says, I think everyone here is now dumber for having listened to it.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. But
I'm not an Adam Sandler fan.
Blow, which I thought was okay. It's a little long.
That's weird. That's on there.
Born Identity, I really like. My wife and I have actually watched that movie together several times. Breakfast at Tiffany's, a classic movie that a lot of people really like, so I'm surprised that's not higher on the list. But
yeah, that's all right. Wasn't bad.
Bringing Up Baby, Bull Durham, Burn After Reading, which I actually didn't like. I didn't like Burn After Reading at all. That was such a strange movie. It was kind of all over. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, another movie I'm surprised is not higher on the list. That's a really good movie. Casablanca, another classic. Chariots of Fire, good. Children of Men, Cloverfield, which is on your list.
Yes. You're just kind of spoiling my list here, though.
I can't help it.
Well, that's one of my verse movies. So I have that against Fast and Furious. One of those has to be on there. But I don't know, both of them shouldn't be on there.
2 movies enter, 1 movie leaves?
Yeah. Well, I love giant monster movies. Those are just fantastic. I
like
can watch
Godzilla?
them all the time. Godzilla. Not the old ones. The new one was pretty good.
Oh, the old ones are awesome. Like Godzilla versus Mothra. I mean, this is great.
Yeah, they're okay. But I love monster movies. So the first Cloverfield, the shaky cam, I watch that all the time.
I cannot watch that movie.
And then the second one came out, which was, it's kind of like they had a movie and they stuck Cloverfield in there. But that was with John Goodman. So I was excited to see it when it came out, and then it came out, and I was like, oh. But now they have, the third one came out only on Netflix. They've taken that series to a weird place. It's just completely bonkers of a movie. But you've got to watch all 3. I would recommend anyone to watch all 3 of them. Because by the end, it's just like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. And they're supposed to be coming out with a 4th one. So
see, that was kind of like, you ever seen the movie Pitch Black? Speaking of Vin Diesel.
Oh, yeah.
Pitch Black is actually a pretty interesting movie. I wouldn't say it was one of my faves, but it's an interesting movie, and I will totally watch it. But the second movie in the series is a movie called The Chronicles of Riddick. And a lot of people don't know that that's actually a series, but Chronicles of Riddick is the second movie in this series. Well, they made a third movie, but it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
And it's called, I have to look it up. It's something like Riddick Fury or The Fury of Riddick like or something like that, but it's a cartoon.
Right.
So they went from kind of a strange movie in Pitch Black to The Chronicles of Riddick, where they're obviously like trying to build this brand of these Riddick movies, right? And then they go to a cartoon and then it stops. Yeah. It is so bizarre. I don't know why they did that.
That's a character Vin Diesel created because he's a big Dungeons and Dragons fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I like him too.
It's so hammy when it comes to Chronicles of Riddick, but honestly, I love that movie. That's a really, really cool sci-fi flick that I enjoy watching.
Yeah. That's why I have Cloverfield and Fast and Furious. Watch the whole series of either of them. You won't be disappointed too much. We
got Donnie Darko, which a lot of people love. Elf, hilarious Christmas movie. Empire Records, that was actually a favorite of mine when I was a teenager in the 90s. That was fun. Aaron Brockovich, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Do not watch that movie. If you want to be depressed, watch that movie.
I watched that one. Is that the...
Well, with Jim Carrey and Jennifer...
It had some neat twists in it, but yeah.
Jennifer Garner? Is that the female as well? It has interesting twists, but to find out that they had already met each other before and they wanted to intentionally avoid each other, so they had their memories erased. It's really weird. Family Man, that's the one with Nicolas Cage, I think, right?
I think so.
Fast Five. Apparently that one didn't make it up with the rest of them. So that's kind of a misnomer. So that's going to move Fast and the Furious to tie it with the third movies, man. What the heck?
Wait, because I hadn't even put mine in there, so you got to add 2 on there.
Oh my, that brings it all the way up to being tied with the Shawshank Redemption.
Yes. This day is victorious.
Oh wait, no. But it ties it with Silence of the Lambs, Saving Private Ryan, Goonies, and Godfather. That is not appropriate. Okay,
I have to strike Cloverfield dead just for that.
Oh, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. Okay, I'm going to plow through more of these. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Field of Dreams, Fifth Element, which is awesome. For the Love of the Game, Four Brothers, which I never saw that one.
Four Brothers?
I never saw that one. I've heard of it, but
F-O-U-R or F-O-R?
F-O-U-R.
Oh,
it's about four brothers whose mother, I think, gets murdered or something.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Glory, which is really good.
That was actually good.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. Grand Budapest Hotel, never saw.
I really like Morgan Freeman. But sometimes he just plays roles that are just real stinkers. But he's in a ton of movies.
Yeah. He is now.
Well, yeah.
He started out on the Electric Company with a giant afro in the 70s. But yeah, now he's quite famous. Guardians of the Galaxy, Heavyweights, that's a comedy. History of the World Part 1, another comedy, which is a Mel Brooks movie, which is awesome. How to Train Your Dragon, don't know, never saw it.
It's all right. It's good.
Inception.
Kind of intense. No, I forgot about that one. That is a fantastic movie.
That's absolutely fantastic movie.
You got to think through that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's another kind of ambiguous ending. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an ambiguous ending.
I would recommend that one too.
Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. That one didn't make it because there's a caveat in the end. So that actually brings Raiders of the Lost Ark to be tied with Fast and the Furious.
Fantastic.
Good.
That's good company.
Interstellar. I actually didn't like that movie. It's way too long-winded and too convoluted.
It's sad.
Yeah. It's really sad. I didn't like it.
I wish they could leave out the sadness part, and then I would have been more into it.
Jurassic Park, Kingsman: The Secret Service. I don't like any of those movies. LA Confidential, totally awesome. That's an awesome movie. That wasn't on my list, but I probably should have put it on there. Labyrinth, no. Last of the Mohicans, no. Sorry.
That was all right.
Sorry, Beard. That was actually on Beard's list.
Yeah,
Last
that
of
was
the Mohicans.
popular.
Law-Abiding Citizen, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Totally awesome if you really like...
That's Jason Statham, isn't it?
Yeah, Jason Statham's in that.
I like him.
If you like Guy Ritchie films, there was two of them made roughly around the same time. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch.
Yeah.
Both British films. They're actually really good movies. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. I did not lump that in with Fellowship of the Ring, although I should have just put Lord of the Rings since it's all one movie.
Yeah.
But we won't do that. Love Story, Major League, Marie Antoinette, McFarland, Memoirs of a Geisha, Monsters, Inc., Moonrise Kingdom, My Cousin Vinny. That's hilarious. When I saw that one, literally all I could think in my head is the two Utes. I was just thinking that scene in the courtroom with the two Utes. Yeah. The judge saying, "What is a Ute?" I'm sorry, the two youths. That's all I could think of. My Fair Lady, No Country for Old Men, a great movie, but another movie that's not feel good at all. Anton Chigurh basically wins at the end of that movie.
Yeah,
I mean it's really sad, but it's a really good movie. Oblivion, great sci-fi flick. Office Space, hilarious, very quotable.
Yeah.
On Golden Pond, Point Break, Keanu Reeves. Predator, Pretty Woman, Pride and Prejudice. Whatever. That had to be a woman. A man did not put that on this list. Psycho, awesome, black and white movie. It's iconic, but I can understand why it's not higher on this list. It's a really good movie. Rear Window, another really good one. Robin Hood Men in Tights. I know who put that one on there.
Keep going faster.
Okay, faster. Rush Hour, Scary Movie 2. I don't know why that's there. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Serendipity, Sicario, Sleeping Beauty, Sleepless in Seattle, Spaceballs, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I got lost in that whole series. How many movies are there now? I have no idea. Spider-Man.
That's not in the series.
Oh, it's not?
They've rebooted it like several times.
That's what I mean.
I wouldn't call it into a series. That's a cartoon.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh,
it just came out this summer. It's supposed to be really good.
Okay. Well,
it won the the Golden Guy Award.
Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Super Troopers, Syriana.
Super Troopers is funny.
Super Troopers is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, how many guys don't walk around saying, "Write me out"?
I don't say that.
I say it all the time. So does Beard.
Keep going.
Terminator 2, Judgment Day, The Birdcage, The Exorcist, The Fountain, The Godfather Part 2. And actually, a lot of people say The Godfather Part 2 is better than the first one.
Yeah,
so I'm surprised that's not a lot higher on the list. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Great spaghetti western. If you like westerns, you got to watch that movie. The Hangover, great movie, but it loses its impact after you've watched it a couple times. Yeah. But it's still funny.
It's a little bit over the top.
Intern, I didn't really like much. That's one with
Billy Crystal.
No, Billy Crystal. No, it's the one with one of the Wilson brothers, the blonde one with the crooked nose. And
are you sure that's what that movie? I don't think that's what that movie is.
Yes.
I don't think that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, it's the one where
the old guy goes back to work.
Oh, my totally is. It's not Billy Crystal. That is Robert De Niro.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, to tell you the truth, that's not a bad movie. I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
What's in that movie?
It's hard for me to see him as a funny guy still. Yeah. I always just see him as angry.
Yeah. Depends on what era you're watching his movies. Yeah. The Jungle Book, The Karate Kid, and Heat isn't on here on this list anywhere. Speaking of Robert De Niro, that's a great movie.
I like to think of The Karate Kid now as, have you seen He's the Bully? Because it's he and Mr. Miyagi beating up the other guys all the time.
No.
That's a fun twist. Go on. They just travel the world beating up kids.
They basically did. He went to Okinawa and beat up some kids. What the heck? The Mummy, The Naked Gun, The Notebook, The Raid Redemption. I've never even heard of, so I don't even know what that is. The Shining, The Thing, The Truman Show. I didn't like The Truman Show. The Water Boy.
I got to pause. People who love Billy Madison.
Pause for a second. Who would put that on this list? Okay.
It's Adam Sandler fans.
Okay. The Way We Were. The Wizard of Oz. Great movie, but again, I've seen it 1,000 times. Tombstone. That's a pretty good movie. Tommy Boy. Hilarious. Training Day. That's another not feel-good movie. I don't like that one at all. Yeah. Tree of Life. Unbroken. Unforgiven. How did that only get... How is that way down this list? That should be up here somewhere.
Only you get 5 votes.
Can I get 10 votes and put 5 for Unforgiven? Because that is an awesome movie.
My extra 5 to Fast and Furious.
The best Western ever made is Unforgiven, by far. Wall-E. What about Bob? White Christmas, Willow. Why that one's on the list, I don't know. Working Girl, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Again, that's way down the bottom of the list. Dirty Harry.
At least it got mentioned.
Gone in 60 Seconds. Deadpool. Number 1 movie.
Wait, I'm going to go through my list first.
Okay, let's go through your list first. Go through.
So I have Iron Man on there.
Okay,
that's great. He's an engineer building robots.
I know.
How can you beat that?
You're an engineer, and you don't build. Fantastic. You do kind of build robots, I guess.
Yeah. But the second and the third one, that kind of goes off the tracks because then he just has robots building his robots, and that's no fun. I like watching him build stuff. Primer. Have you seen Primer?
I have never seen Primer.
You have to see Primer. That one's hard to track down, but it's a time travel movie that's really hard to follow. Like, you really have to think through it. And you've got to watch it like 7 times to follow it.
Okay.
But it's really good. I would recommend it.
I really can't watch it once. I have to watch it 7 times.
You're going to watch it once and you're going to wonder what the heck's going on. But you're going to want to watch it again. Because I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to give any spoilers on that one. Because it's one you have to experience. Sound of Music. I like Sound of Music. That's fun. Makes
it is a fun
good.
Movie.
Yeah. You can watch that with anybody.
Yeah, the kids like that movie.
I had Cloverfield and Fast and Furious. We talked about that.
Yep.
And I had Moana and Paddington.
I want to make sure everybody aware that you put Moana versus Paddington. And I'm thinking this is like a Predator versus Alien situation. So you got Moana, the little Hawaiian girl in Paddington, entering Thunderdome. Who's going to win?
Well, Moana's always got The Rock with her, so she probably has an advantage.
Well, no, she always has the chicken with her. Hey.
Yeah, but he's not too far behind. And you were fighting against a family of bears. But yeah, Paddington was good. I like that one. It was surprisingly good. I expected it to be not so good. But I could watch that anytime. It's fun. And I like Moana's just fun to watch too. So I picked mine into genres as well. So that would be like my family friendly, along with Sound of Music, family movies. And then Primer's my sci-fi. Iron Man's my action movie.
I don't think there's anything on my list that is family friendly. I don't think there's anything I would let my kids watch on my list.
That's not a surprise for you.
No.
But then at the end, Journey to Mysterious Island. That's just a weird movie. It's just fun to watch. I could watch it anytime. There's no thinking really. And then The Rundown. Have you seen The Rundown? That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that one. That's a comedy. Again, with The Rock.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of my... He's in what? 1, 2?
That's with The Rock and Steve Stifler.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I talk about number 1 now?
Go ahead.
Number 1 movie. This
is
had...
not good. I can't believe this is number 1.
It's not only just number 1. It's number 1 by a lot.
Yeah.
It's, received 160% the votes that movies tied for 2 are. Number 1 movie, drum roll please, is Pulp Fiction. And
I'm surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Really?
That's a great movie.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, let me just put this caveat out. I went to see that movie in the movie theater when that came out.
Yeah.
And I actually took a date to see that movie. That was a pretty bad decision. My night was not going to go as I had hoped after taking a girl to see that movie.
You should have known better than to go see a
Quentin Tarantino movie. Yeah. Well, I had seen several.
You should have known better.
I remember going to see Dusk to Dawn, which is another Tarantino movie, and that's just bloody. That is horrible. Yeah. But
I went to see that.
Did you?
The date too. Well, we went.
Was it a date with your wife?
Yes, it was. It's the first one I think we went to.
And she still married you?
Well, we didn't pick it. We went with some other people.
A younger George Clooney is in that one, and he's got an awesome tribal tattoo. The tattoo that comes up his neck to the bottom of his face. That is a really cool tattoo.
Yeah, because I don't think I had seen a Quentin Tarantino movie before that.
Mm-hmm.
My friend that we went with and his friends, they said, "Oh yeah, he makes great movies." Then he showed me Reservoir Dogs. Oh, that one's rough. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend not watching that one.
That's a rough movie to watch.
Yeah.
But all of his movies are kind of the same. We talked about Stanley
Yeah.
Kubrick, I think a couple of editions ago, and how you could pick out a Stanley Kubrick movie from a movie lineup pretty easily. Same exact thing with Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah,
extremely unique.
He's only making like a few movies though. As a director, did you know that?
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's only going to make like 10, and then he's going to retire.
Yeah,
and he's at like number 9, I think.
He doesn't make a lot of movies.
Yeah,
but he puts a lot into what he does make.
Yeah, they're good for what they are, but man, they are not what I would want to watch. Like Kill Bill, that's his movies too.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
But Pulp Fiction, great movie. It's a movie of a bunch of basically like vignettes.
Yeah.
I mean, you got little stories that are kind of jammed together to make this movie.
Yeah.
And they all kind of have a little air of comedy. They all have a little air of tragedy. But I think, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think all of them sort of end up on a quote-unquote happy note.
Well, compared to the rest of the movie, I guess it's happy.
Well, in Pulp Fiction, it seems like all of the really bad people
have bad stuff happen to them.
Like get their comeuppance sort of at the end.
And really bad in graphic manners.
But it's another good transition piece, really, because you see the very beginning of the movie. Not the very beginning. It's the very beginning. It's a coffee house scene. Honey Bunny and whatever. First scene you see is Jules Winfield, who's just a bad dude. He is a bad mamma jamma. And at the end, he's completely the opposite. He's become, as he says, Cain. He's just going to walk the earth and be good, basically. He's made the transition from a bad to good. So anyway, that's number 1, and I'm sort of surprised that it's number 1, but I'm happy that it is. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It was on my list. Pulp Fiction
was it?
Yeah, Pulp Fiction was on my list.
Of your movies, your highest was number 1, and mine was number 3, did we say?
Yes, you're Fast and the Furious.
Fast and Furious.
I had 1, position 2, position 3. I think I had position 4 because I think no, I didn't list Goodfellas.
Yeah, if I did my Cloverfield versus Fast and Furious, I only had 2 movies on the list.
So that was actually a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that we get to do this polling situation again. So we'll have to think of another poll to shoot out to the Chaos fans out there.
Quick, just finish up the movies. Who's your favorite actor or actress?
I don't have one.
Jeez.
I don't.
All right, we're going to end on an ambiguous end to the podcast.
The ambiguous podcast ending. No, do you have one? Do you have a favorite?
It's probably going to be The Rock because he's in most of my favorites.
It certainly appears so.
I do enjoy watching his work. He's funny and he's serious.
Yeah.
He can do it all.
He can do it all, for sure.
He needs to be in science fiction. I don't think he's been in a science fiction movie, has he?
I don't know. Is Jumanji sort of science fiction? I guess not. That's
it's more of an adventure.
Like fantasy or something.
Yeah.
Well, we do appreciate, certainly, all of you folks who submitted. Do want to make mention of is that now all of our videos have been uploaded to YouTube. I wouldn't say videos. All of our podcast editions have been converted to videos and uploaded to YouTube. So that's just another method that you can watch and or listen to the episodes online. You can just go to YouTube and just type in Conversational Chaos, and our channel should be the top one. Thank you, everybody. It's been a real pleasure, and look forward to doing this again.
Have a good one.